Yo, what up, my people? Welcome to the Football Rig, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have special guests. I want to introduce you guys to them. We have Gianni with us, guys, today. Please holla, Gianni, man. And also the doc, the legendary Dr. Seymour. I mean, I brought you guys some people with really strong opinions, and we're going to cover everything that is related in Arsenal, in the Arsenal news drill down. So a couple of stories that came along, and would it change anything for the club? Doesn't mean anything for the club. We'll see, man. Meanwhile, I mean, Martinelli form is under the microscope currently from the Arsenal fans, and now exit rumors are starting to circulate. Is this noise or something deeper? We're gonna find out. Meanwhile, Bukayo Saka has signed a new contract and is done. Future secured for Arsenal, and also, I mean, it says there is 300k, but we're gonna talk about more. Does this mean for Arsenal long-term project, or what is gonna be? We want to know. And quietly, Arsenal have added a secret weapon long throw specialist. I don't want. I want your opinion. Hey guys, let's be honest. Let's be serious about it. Marginal gain or game changing. I want your opinion, guys, about it. But first of all, guys, how are you guys doing?
Very good, very good. Had a great weekend. Was bored through the Arsenal game, but still came out on top. And yeah, overall, very good weekend. Bear down.
Yeah, I don't even want to fucking hear about this whole bear down shit. You know, I'm still livid after yesterday, man. You know, like rather just again, you know, first and foremost, big up to you, Sammy. Big up to you, Gianni.
Big up, Sammy. Yeah, big up, Sammy. Appreciate the invite.
You know, like make sure you always welcome, guys. Backing the likes and hitting the sub, brother. All right. So I mean, like, so again, so this weekend overall was solid. You know, like we had watched, you know, Arsenal get advanced to the next round. The draw is tonight, I believe. And yeah, and I mean, on a personal note, had a excellent date with some mommy, and I'm telling you, she is estupendo. That's all I'm gonna say. Also, I'm gonna say for now. I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself, but I swear. In any case, the only downside was, you know, seeing my Philadelphia Eagles go down. You know, and you know, and ironically enough, you know, like we talk rather like a large issue at this club are the standards and how they have waned over time. You know. Rather like the Philadelphia Eagles, we just recently won the Super Bowl. We have a star-studded team, and they are already calling for heads to roll. I mean, that sounds very entitled. You know, that sounds very toxic and negative in Philadelphia in the 215. You know what I mean? So like, it's like, you know, so I think it's just like another reiteration that, you know, that after you achieve success, you know, like the standards are naturally elevated. And you know, like, and my biggest gripe that I'll always, you know, like go back to is that, you know, like I just want to see the club who had tore down a fortress in Highbury, you know, like come good on its promises when they had moved to the Emirates.
Facts.
Well, I agree with the metrics of success. I mean, that's how you know where you are in terms of anything. I mean, generally, if you're running a company, if you're, you know, football club, the metric here, for me personally, it is always trophies, and I'm sure you guys agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I want your opinion later on how where we stand currently. But well, let's talk about the first things first. Saka renewed his contract for Arsenal Football Club. So what are your thoughts, guys, about it? I'm going to share a quick a screenshot, a tweet that they announced it by David Ornstein and the rest. So where is it? There we go. There it is. So this is by, all right. So this is by Fabrizio. Of course, Ornstein backed this up, that Saka has agreed a 5-year contract. And it says, or from what we heard, 300k a week. So what are your thoughts? Guys, I want your thoughts about this.
Yeah,
you want to go first, Doc?
Well, actually, I was going to get my cup of tea. So you go first, and by the time that you finish, I'll be back. All right. So just like 30 seconds.
All right, Gianni, tell me your thought, Gianni. 300k a week, Saka. Is it worth it? Is it good? Is it bad? What are your thoughts?
If this contract extension would have been last year before the injury, I would have been all for it. Because of hindsight, the kid's a youth academy product and everything else. So I don't have a problem with us keeping youth academy. But my issue is that I'm wondering if he assigned this contract 6 months too late, because of the injury that he's come back from, that I still don't think he was properly cared for in the way that he needed to be. I thought he was rushed back because Arteta thought that we were going to make a push for the Champions League, which we obviously failed at that last year. And I'm just looking at, based on performances this year, there's very little that I've seen that shows me the flashes of the old Saka. I think Saka had one of the best first steps in the league, to be quite honest with you, with his ability to make a first step move and then use his speed and be able to pull away from the other players. He doesn't have that anymore. And I'm wondering if we, for the extension, I'm wondering if a position change is on the horizon for Saka to maybe get the best out of him. Because I think him, like so many other players, are being held back by the system that Arteta's playing. So I mean, if Saka was to have an unbelievable second half of the season, I would not be opposed to this, even though £300,000 a week is a lot of freaking money, and there's going to be a lot of standards that need to come with that.
That's the question, Gianni. Is it worth it? I mean, does he deserve the 300K a week?
For me, no.
Especially that there's no trophy right here. We're talking about a player that has been doing very well for Arsenal. No denying about that. His output has been amazing, but does he deserve 300K a week? Now, that's the $1 million question for me. And
I would say no, because his output doesn't match what the money cost is. Let's be honest here. Saka unfairly was being played in a multitude of positions from when Arteta took over the team. First, he was left wing back. Then he became specifically left mid when we played the 3-4-3, when he wasn't tracking back and wasn't asked to be tracked back on defense. And then he was ultimately moved to the right wing to play the inverted inside forward winger, if you will, this hybrid winger that everybody plays with now. And to his credit, he had to deal with that and did very well. However, when we talk about Saka being world class, only 2 double-digit goal seasons of you being as a winger does not make you world class. I'm sorry, that there's different standards of what we need to hold when somebody's world class. World class is somebody who's doing that year in and year out, whether they have little niggle injuries or not. So the question then becomes, has he done enough in the last year to be considered world class? And my opinion is no. I think Saka, again, because of the system that Arteta is playing, I think Saka has been held back. And I also think the injury that he had, I think he was not properly, as I said before, I don't think he was properly cared for by the medical team, and the manager rushed him back a little too soon. If he still had the same breakaway pace and first step, I would be all for it, because, again, I'd rather give money to a youth academy player than a player that we buy from somewhere else. But for me, as of right now, the money does not look like it's worth it.
What about you, Doc? I mean, we heard it from Gianni right here. Which, by the way, I agree with him, but yeah.
Absolutely well said. I mean, I would say that overwhelmingly, I do agree with what Gianni has said. So I guess maybe where I slightly differ, and we're talking about, like shades of gray here at this point. Saka has unfortunately been the central impetus of our attack. Over the last few years, and for what it's worth, because of his contributions, he should be getting paid, at the highest level. The only reason why I believe that he is getting paid at this wage is simply because the precedent had been applied when giving 29 280K a week. So simply by virtue of the fact that Saka has been contributing more than 29 will ever at this club, it is simply just by default, just rather that he should be getting paid the most. But that's also composite of just how poor our wage structure has been. Ironically, after if you recall in the All or Nothing documentary, Mikel and Edu, they were lamenting about all of these, average players on massive wages not contributing to the squad, and unfortunately they have kind of doubled down on that to an extent. So
Yeah.
So that's like that. So the financial aspect is, it can go either way. I'm very concerned about the injury as well. He has definitely lost a step in his pace, and I think most importantly, he has plateaued a little bit. I have seen him do more step overs in a New Balance advertisement than I see him, do step overs on a pitch, and so at the end of the day, I'm sure that Gianni would agree. I'm very much in the belief that a better manager would be getting more out of these players, and they would also be elevating them to another level. I still think that Saka has another level or two to go to actually achieve that consistent world-class status, in my perspective. With respect, to Charles's comment, at the moment, Saka is the face of this club at the moment. And, and as we have seen, across time, there have been different faces at this club. So, so while it may be the case, and while he is also arguably one of the crown jewels of of Hale End of the most recent era, at the end of the day, we are a football club. We are an institution. The players, at the end of the day, the names of the players and the names of the manager themselves, if they are good enough to get over the line, we will lionize them, and we will, and we will call them our legends. But but that success comes first, before we start, at least in my opinion, having such deep emotional attachment to players who may be good, but simultaneously there is a difference between being good and being great and being able to get over the line. There is a debate whether or not this manager is good enough to get over the line, but simultaneously there's also a debate to be had whether or not the players are also good enough to get over the line themselves.
Right. So for me, I mentioned this to Waffle Don quite a while ago. We had a show, me and him, in the same show, Arsenal News Drilldown. And when I told him that, he was shocked. I said he's not. He doesn't deserve the 300K. And he looked at me weirdly, like what do you mean? And now looking at it in hindsight, to be honest, if Arsenal are looking to buy a winger at the level of Saka, at least, if we look at the market currently. We try to even sign Rodrigo, if you guys recall, and he requests, and his ask was almost similar to the same amount that Saka's earning currently. So if we look at the market currently, that is quite inflated market in terms of, especially the attacking players. So if you're gonna spend, let's say, 300K a week on a player, who are you gonna spend it on, right? If it's not Saka, if it's not your boy, at least. The guy who loves the club. Who's delivering. He's not, like you guys said, he hit a plateau, at least this season, I would say. But in the previous season, we counted on him a lot, and he delivered, I would say, double digits almost every season. But unfortunately, this season, he didn't. But looking at the market, who do you guys pay 300K a week if it's not for Saka? I genuinely would like Rodgers. So you think Rodgers... Rodgers, if you look at Rodgers' career so far, how many good seasons did he have? Two,
I'm looking at this for longevity. Right. I'm looking at this as longevity. And if you're looking at the market,
think Saka hit the ceiling? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying Saka hit the ceiling because of the manager more than Saka. I think I've been beating the drum that my whole thing with Saka in the offense is I think we're too stagnant.
Right.
When you talk to people when you ask that question, if Arteta didn't win this year and Arteta says, you know what, I'm going to leave because I don't think I'm good enough and I'm doing this as a service of the club because I love the club, right? If you were to pose that question, everybody's number one response is they want Luis Enrique as the guy to replace him 90% of the time, right? My issue when you say that is, well, okay, if you want Luis Enrique to come, what's the first thing that's going to change? There isn't going to be any stagnation on the attack. Saka, everybody, no matter how he plays, there will be fluidity. And I think if you were to take that into consideration of Saka being more centralized, I think you're going to see a lot more goals being scored. Again, Saka's ability to how he got scores and got assists was because of his pace. He could create that extra yard of space for him to get a shot off or an assist. And I think that with the capabilities of a guy like Rodgers, who's already hit the ground running at a much younger age than Saka did in the forward aspect, if you're looking long term, and you want to build, because we're talking about Arsenal with the amount of money we spent. We want to see a dynasty. I'm looking at a younger person who's done it. Now, if you go for like what you were referring to as a Rodrigo, you'd have to pay the same amount, because the problem is if you bring in a player of the stature of Rodrigo, whether anybody likes it or not, Rodrigo's proven himself on the big stage and has the trophy hall to show for it. So that's really where you have to go for in this scenario is if you're going to put it to the question of who would you pay 300 grand for, it's any winger that's been there and done it. But it's also got to be, you also have to factor in other things, injury history and winning, because it's bad enough right now that Saka has been injury prone, more so to the manager, and has taken away from his capabilities when we give him this much. I don't want an injury prone striker to come in to be on 300 pounds a week to where within 2 years we say, okay, we're shelling out 600,000 pounds a week to two guys, and we're not anywhere better or anywhere further along in this want and need for an Arsenal dynasty than what it is now. So for me, I'm looking at it at a multitude of things. The reason why I say Rodgers has hit the ground running. He's shown that he can play in multiple positions with the way that Unai Emery plays. And as I said, if you were to bring in a manager like Enrique, Rodgers for me is the next guy up. The only other guy that I'm looking at for that amount of money, if I'm being honest with you, is if somehow we got Desiree Doué or Varashelia from PSG. If I'm looking at 300,000 and getting guys that are proven in multiple levels, that to me is the standard of what we got to look at. Rodgers for me, I think, is a cheaper option compared to those guys to a certain degree. But either way, I think Rodgers is just, for the 2 years that he's been, for the 18 months that he's been playing at the top level, he's showing a lot more than a lot of other guys that I think a lot of people overhype. I think Rodgers is doing the bits and deserves. If he was to leave for a big club, I think he deserves a lot of money, because I think he's going to be a big star in the coming years.
Okay, that's fair. So I'm going to go to the doc here with a question. First of all, Rodgers is 23 years old. Saka is 24 years old. Gianni's point that Arteta is not properly utilizing Saka to this full potential. Let's say, for the sake of the argument, let's put some context here. If Saka remains and Arteta leaves for whatever reason, let's say he doesn't win a trophy this season and he leaves the club, and we bring in Luis Enrique or an elite manager of that level and that caliber, do you think that is a good deal and a deserved deal for Saka to have 300K?
I would say the only reason why I support Saka Saka being the highest paid player is simply because he has been the greatest contributor to this squad. I believe as a whole, in the greatest composition, the entire wage structure is completely screwed. Rather at this age, in my personal perspective, there shouldn't be anyone making more than 250 max. So the fact that we have Jesus at 265, the fact that we have Havertz at 280, I'm not sure if Pillowfoot's around 225 or 250.
He's 245.
245.
He's 245.
Thank you. So, so overall, in my perspective, I believe the entire wage structure really needs to be recalibrated. But just because Saka has been the largest contributor, I'm okay with it. There are just a few asterisks of concern that I have. I do think that if a better manager came in, I think, as I said, I do think that Saka would go up a level or two, and then I think as a result of that, it would certainly merit and warrant the contract and pay rise that he had received. But I would even say, with respect to wingers that I would be paying 300 K a week for. I think that amount is overall absurd. And that money needs to be earned by contribution and not by name itself. You had mentioned Kvara. That was the first name right off of my head. Kvara, Yamin Lamal, Rafinha, Michael Olise, even for that matter. I would say that those wingers would probably warrant, somewhere in that 275, 300K range.
Okay.
And there are players in the world in different positions as well that would also warrant it. Whether it be a Valverde at Real Madrid. I would would say that he would be. I would say that he would warrant it. But yeah.
Okay, fairs. Well, we'll stick with the wingers, and we're talking about contract renewal. So here's a very good piece of news that I found is Max Dowman. So Max Dowman has agreed to scholarship terms that will begin next season. As you know, guys, he's 16, so he's only eligible to open talks professionally in terms of contract and all that will be when he turns 17 this December. So what do you guys think of this? We're not going to really hover around this topic a lot, but I think he's elite and has a huge potential in Arsenal Football Club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys agree or?
Yeah. I mean, like, he absolutely does. I mean, and I think like one of the greatest concerns that we've had at least this season, and even like in the seasons past, but maybe, well, I mean, like I'm very concerned about the player drop-offs that we have had over time, like especially with our youth. Rather what is currently going on, like with Lewis Skelly right now, is absolutely grotesque.
Yeah, what happened to this guy, man?
Wrong position.
Even considering the wrong position, he was for the most part performing at like an 8 out of 10 level last year, and he was also going up against some of the best wingers like in the world as well, and he was shutting them down. I just rather, granted, he is playing out of position, but someone just does not have such a night and day drop off like how he has rather just in the span of 12 months. So like our academy products have been good of recent, but they've also been good over the last 25, 30, 40 years. I mean, like rather like, even going back to the whole like Liam Brady, era. Our club has always had a solid academy. Rather the question still remains is whether or not certain managerial agendas are going to come into play. Simply because like because they are coming from the academy, like because they are also young, because these were because these players are playing in positions that are currently hosted by favorites of the manager. Their development may be getting stifled, and that is a very big concern. Like I really don't want to see like youth getting loaned out. I know that there are certain cases, like for example, like Wilshire going to Bolton, like that was a good loan. But but inversely, like Reece Nelson, like a player who was very highly rated in the academy, like he was never able to break through, and he was not able to develop, like whether it's because like a lack of opportunity here, like locally, but also he also just never fully developed as well. So, I just there was a reason why players like Lewis Skelly, why they were being loftily compared to the likes of Ashley Cole. There was a reason why Ethan Wanyeri was being loftily compared to the likes of Yamil.
Yeah.
Like simply because they were doing the business. And Max Dowman looked absolutely killer in preseason. The fact that we haven't seen him for a long time is pretty upsetting.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm going to go to Gianni with this, and I want to address Charles' comment here. The point of discussion should be Premier Soccer exit. Look, Charles, you're throwing spoilers here. I'm building up to that. Since we're bringing up the youth players, Helen products. I'm trying to build up slowly, but you just spoiled it. But thank you, Charles. Thank you for the comment. Gianni, I mean, we heard Ethan Wanyeri had a lot of interest from. If you guys want me to bring it up, there was interest from Bournemouth. But let me bring it up for you guys so that you can see that this is the news that came out that Bournemouth expressed some interest of signing Ethan Wanyeri on a loan. But the news followed up quickly, and they just shut it up and said, Ethan Wanyeri has turned down multiple loan offers this month, and he's fully committed to succeeding at Arsenal. Does that show that a lot of Hale End products are actually, I would say, loyal to the club, if that's the right term to use, and they actually want to thrive at Arsenal, and they love the club, and they want to really push and be a main contributor and a key role and play a key role in the success of Arsenal? What do you think, Gianni?
I think it's a mixture of multiple things. I think it's a mixture of multiple things. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's definitely they want to be serviceable to the club. They want to be a part of this overall quote unquote project that the club is undertaking. However, I think part of the reason why Ethan Wanyeri wants to stay is because I think everybody is wondering what the situation is going to be with Berta and in the weight of where this club is going to be come May. Because if the club comes around in May and we're walking away trophyless, or we're walking away with an FA Cup and maybe a League Cup, but no Premier League or Champions League title, I think more heads are going to roll with not only the board, but Arteta as well. And I think with that being the scenario that's at hand, if we don't walk away with one of the majors, I think the youth is going to have to be included into this team because, as the doc said, financially, the pay structure is out of control. I mean, Arsenal's average pay is higher than both Liverpool and Man City, and we don't have any of the trophy cabinets like those two teams have at this current point in time. So for me, I think it's basically a double-edged sword on this, because the other thing that you risk if you stay and you're not getting minutes is, as we all know in this day and age, is you get the maximum amount of money when you sell off youth academy talents. So if Ethan wants to stay, but say we come into next season and we're cash strapped because of the salaries, because of the amount of money that we've put in to give Arteta a squad, and he hasn't gotten over the line, we could be facing a situation like what Chelsea did when they sold Gallagher to get maximum amount of money to be able to still go out and buy players. And that's the only thing that I worry about. As far as Dowman's concerned, in my opinion, I think if we were to push out players, I think Max Dowman, I don't care if he's 16, he should be getting right into the starting. He should be getting right into at least the bench, possibly even the starting rotation with how we've seen the flashes from him. So for me, I think Dowman is a long-term player that we need to sign for a maximum length. And I would like to see the same thing happen with Ethan Wanyeri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. Like the doc, I think a better manager, or a much more suited manager, could possibly get much more out of the two players. But again, it's the double-edged sword of where we're going to be come the end of the season.
You know, the problem with the youth players, I would say, it's okay, Charles. I'm just joking with you, buddy. About the youth players, you cannot count on them when you're competing in the league. You're competing in the high level of the UCL. It's they are talented and they can give you a really big moments. But the problem is with the youth, they are inconsistent, right? Because they're still under development, and they could give you a really good game, and then they would go in a plateau for the next two because of the inexperiency. Because even physically, they're not even aged, I would say. The muscles are not really built up. I know that this is not going to the physics behind it and all that stuff, but still it plays is a main role as why probably Arteta is not depending on it of the youth. And I agree with you guys. They should have more chances, and I think Arteta is not really rotating enough in a sense to give minutes, especially in 1 year. I mean, he just renewed the contract, and I really feel bad for him that he just renewed the contract. But now we're talking about Wanyeri, Max Dowman, we talked about Hale End products, and a lot of people would say that is thanks to Per Mertesacker, who officially Fabrizio mentioned that he's going to leave his role as Arsenal head academy at the end of the season. As I said, Arsenal, and I quote, "Arsenal is and will always be a very special club to me. So this was a difficult decision. I'm very thankful for the trust the club put in me." As this is according to him. Also, Richard Garlick as well came out and said, a lot of professional things that say, yeah, he did very well. They were working on the succession plan, who would actually take over from Per Mertesacker. So, guys, what do you think about Per Mertesacker? Did he actually develop the youth? Are we seeing more talents coming out of the Hale End Academy? What do you think, Doc?
I mean, I think there's a bit of kabuki theater going on with this as a whole.
Agreed.
Expand on that, please.
Sorry?
Expand on that, please.
So, I mean, so at the end of the day, as I mentioned, as we know, we have seen a lot of youth products come out of our academy. Some of them have contributed a lot, some of them not so much. What we have seen, though, unfortunately, is that when we talk about Ethan Wanyeri, when we talk about Marley Salmon, Like there should not be any irony found that they are quote unquote breaking they're breaking competition records for being like the youngest players fielded, like on the pitch. But as we recall, like when Ethan had made his, I think it was like his PL debut at the age of 15, we hadn't seen him for another year or so after that. So so unfortunately, it just seems to be more of a feel good facade that that Mikel is giving that youth a chance. But then we don't see them consistently, despite the fact that they may be able to contribute, to the first team. I've always been an advocate of, like if they are good enough, they're old enough. There are people, unfortunately, if we were to go back 20 years prior, they would be questioning why Cesc Fabregas is getting first team minutes when the legs of Vieira, Gilberto, Edu, and Flamini were in the squad, right? But simply because like Cesc was playing, simply because he was good enough. So I mean, like I said in the chat earlier, to a little bit of ire of a response, like I mean, like the way that I see it, like either. I mean, like someone had mentioned that Per may be leaving just because maybe like he wants to seek out a more like managerial like position on his own accord, right? After being head of the academy. Personally, the way that I see it, I think Berta is cleaning house simply because Per Mertesacker, despite that he played for the club, he had no experience working in the academy ever, right? Like period. Granted, he did have soft skills and qualities that would, that would behoove someone to lead the academy, but he never had any experience in it. And we also know that he got it simply because he was a friend of the manager. As we have seen a lot of friends of the managers, rather of this manager, like getting very cushy roles. So I'm not like, I mean, like I'm, thank you for your service, Per, but on your bike.
So you don't think he contributed whatsoever in the youth and nothing at all? I think he's
I mean, like so
bypasser.
I mean, so like if we're talking about the head of the academy, like there are a bunch of scouts and there are a bunch of youth development coaches.
No, forget about the scouts. Him as a manager, managing the youth in terms of even soft skills.
But to that end, like he is getting internal reports from the academy coaches like on these players. Is he rather like the benefit that we could say that he has done, but I would say is just part of the job of being the head of academy, is identifying these players to the manager, saying so and so, like they are demonstrating playing at a level higher than the academy, and it may be beneficial to give them a chance in the first team. But as I said, I think that's just part of doing the job. Like so I mean, like so yes, it's good that he had done it, but simultaneously, like that's what you're being paid to do.
Okay. Well, what do you think, Jana? I'm seeing you're nodding your head, so I'm assuming you agree with the doc here.
I mean, I'll take it one step further. I would be hailing Per Mertesacker if Project Youth in the beginning of this project under Mikel Arteta went further with a lot more of the youth academy players that we had, like AKA Emil Smith-Rowe, because Emil Smith-Rowe, I think, was unfairly sold when we could have utilized him both last season and this season with rotation. The other thing that I will say is a lot of the big clubs at different times have been able to look to their youth academy instead of having to facilitate more money to go out to add to the players. I mean, are we forgetting Olympique Lyon's 7-year dynasty run in France? A lot of the players that they had came out of the youth academy and were ready to go immediately into the first team. So the youth academy, I think, needs to get a little bit more of a kick up the ass to where these guys are going to not only going to come in, but immediately show that they're ready to go immediately into the first team and not be waiting for scrub minutes here or there. That's part of the reason why we hail and applaud, Barcelona's La Masia with their youth academy. They can call, if they have injuries, they call upon a kid from the youth academy and they slot right in. That's what the goal is when you want to be a big club, is to be able to do that. And in turn, even though they look crazy with what they're doing, you also kind of want a conveyor belt of talent as well, similar to how Chelsea have done it, to where if you're in financial restraints, you can dump youth academy for money to be able to make the money stretch longer for you to see the fruits of your labor for developing the youth and helping you get more star quality players for the 11 if they're not going to be good enough. So for me with Mertesacker, I think had the youth products gone further at the beginning of this project rather than where it was at, I think we would be saluting him more. But I'm with the doc on this. I think Bert is just cleaning house and getting ready to start implementing a much more higher standard across the board with this team.
I hope you're right. I genuinely hope you're right. I mean, I'm not gonna stand against improvement and development. Yeah, Doc.
Well, because I'm going off of what he did at Atletico. I mean, let's be honest here. Atletico Madrid has grown into the third biggest team in Spain. Historically, they're not.
They were. I think. I mean,
no, Bilbao's bigger than Bilbao. Realistically, is bigger than Atletico because of the trophy and silverware haul throughout the years. Bilbao historically and Valencia were both bigger than Atletico Madrid. He has grown Atletico from top to bottom with what he did with Simeone, adjusting the youth academy. I mean, look at how many youth academy players have come out of Atletico over the years since he took over, that aided in the team's success with Diego Simeone. So for me, I think he's doing the same type of a project that he did overall with Atletico Madrid at Arsenal. The better thing for us as Arsenal fans is there's more startup money there than what there was with Atletico. So he has more things on hand that he can get done in a faster time frame. And because it's Arsenal, because it's the Premier League, and as we're talking about with the crazy salaries that they're handing out to players, he's also able to do that for coaches as well across the board, which is why he's doing what he's doing. I mean, I don't remember a single time in the last 20 years of me being an Arsenal fan, this amount of board members leaving in a short period of time, and the radical changes that are coming with the team. I mean, the scout that he hired from Napoli is one of the best scouts in the world. So, he's making quick moves to plan for the future for Arsenal being hopefully a much more dominant team than what we've seen in the recent years.
Yeah. Okay. All absolute facts, and the one thing I also wanted to mention as well, like kind of in conjunction, like to one of Charles's comments with respect to the 8 users, with respect to the 8 years of service, and imagining how many millions Mertesacker has saved the club. Well, I mean, that is not entirely true. Simply because, mind you, first and foremost, like the millions that we may have saved the club kind of pales in comparison to the total number of expenditures that we have made under this manager, first and foremost. But more importantly, we have seen the likes of like Flo Balogun, Mika Bureth, Amari Hutchinson. They were never able to get an opportunity. Yet simultaneously, we were buying players, like Fabio Vieira and Bambi Lakanga, and and 29 for that matter. I'm sorry, Nuno Tavares. So I mean, so on one hand, like yes, like we have produced a lot of great products. But and also Smith Rowe. I don't think I will forgive like how we had like treated Smith Rowe because like he was on the ascension, and this manager was making up an excuse about how he was injured or how he wasn't fit while he was starting for England's U21 championship winning team. So I think there's a little bit of balance that needs to be applied here.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him his props. I'm going to say thank you, Per, like you guys said. And I think he contributed. I mean, if you guys like it or not, but I personally think that he did contribute. I mean, in the youth, in terms of development, in terms of the players we have currently. And I think what we have right now in the pipeline as well coming in from the youth. I mean, we're seeing also these talents that we signed from Ecuador or whatever. I don't know if he had he was involved in that, but still, I mean, it happened under his tenure, so I'm going to give him that as well. Even though if it's Spurs or not, it's not the topic. But anyways, we're moving on from the youth team. But before we do, guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys new, and I'm gonna add both channels for Gianni and the doc here in the description as well. A piece of news, guys. This is the first time in football that I heard about long throw specialist, and I made it like the headline here. It says here, Arsenal have turned the world's leading throw-in coach, Thomas Grønnemark, or whatever, man. I don't know if I annihilated the name, but it's fine. The ex-Liverpool coach under Jurgen Klopp has been working with Arsenal as a consultant, so he's been working with Arsenal, it seems like, visiting their training ground and blah blah blah. And here's another piece of news that is related to the matter as well. And I want your opinion, guys. This is from Transfer News Live. It says that they hired the leading throw-in coach. So this is another secret weapon that has been added to the arsenal. Pun intended. What you guys think? This is the first for me to hear that there's an actual specialist for long throw. I mean, how complicated can it be? Just throw the goddamn ball inside the box. That's how I look at it. Maybe I'm being naive, but I want your opinion, guys. Generally,
you want to
so stupid,
Gianni?
I mean, excuse my French, but it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. These long throws and all this other nonsense. I mean, you guys both watched the Liverpool game, right?
Yeah.
Why do we need? Here's a question I'm gonna pose to both of you guys. Why do we need a throw-in coach when we need to have a coach with the strikers of where the hell they're supposed to be? Both teams, and this isn't just on Mikel and Slot. This is across the board to why a decade ago football, 15 years plus older football, is so much better than what we're watching right now. Both teams played the exact same formation. They both played 4-2-3-1 with a number 10 and a false 9. Guess where the false 9 and the number 10 were? Right next to each other, majority of the game, not in the box. Yeah. The hell does it matter if you have a long throw-in coach if there's nobody there to put the end product on the long throw?
No, I mean, you're going to count on your defenders most likely, or your center backs. That's Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. You know, they're the ones
but I mean in the core. Okay, but
yeah.
here, but that's a good point that you prove. But I'll use it to this: in the tail end of the game against Liverpool, all them guys were in the box, and we were too scared to even cross the ball into the box. It took Saliba to realize to cross the ball in the box when half the team was in the box trying to get the go-ahead goal with like 4 or 5 minutes left, and ended up forcing that last-minute corner. I mean, for me, I'd rather get a coach that's going to work with the freaking striker as far as Gyökeres to help him as much as he can, or help with the wingers in knowing when to properly service the ball, because he's not the same type of striker that we have. A throw-in coach, I could care less about this. First of all, I'm mad enough that so many teams play with the ball in the air. Keep the damn ball on the ground. That's what the most successful teams do, is play with the ball on the ground. The throw-ins, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Liverpool won only one league title with this guy on the team, right? In the amount of time that Klopp was there.
And a UCL.
And a UCL. Okay, a UCL. But the bread and butter right now for Arsenal is we need to stack up some Premier League trophies for the amount of years that we haven't won. So I'm sorry. There's other areas where we need to work on than throw-ins, in my opinion.
I know.
Hey, I'm a goalkeeper. I'm a goal kick specialist. If you want, guys.
Yeah.
He has one. But Doc, I see the frustration. Doc, I mean, go ahead, man.
I mean, like, frustration is polite, Sammy, brother. I'm telling you, because like, so when there is a problem occurring, whether it's at business or whether it's in this club, like, you then hire someone to help fix the problem.
Right.
But set pieces aren't our problem. Like, rather we have already demonstrated that we know how to score from set pieces, that we know how to score from own goals. We already know how to take long throw-ins, and that's why we have been getting bantered as billion-pound Stoke, because we're playing like billion-pound Stoke. Like, so, so when I hear, and again, I think this hire is complete trash. But when you scrutinize the words that they are saying, like in this article, like that's what drives me up the wall. Because as you know, like I had double majored in philosophy, like growing up in undergrad, and I'm very well. I unfortunately take these words as a real warning sign that
complex long throws, man. That's how they call it.
Well, see, yeah, but where
Can we just go back to throwing non-foul throws?
Yeah.
Like the one of the saddest things, not to cut you off, Doc, but real quick, every foul throw that you see at the professional level now is a foul throw. Every throw-in's a foul throw. When we were young, you were told you can't throw this way, even though they do that nowadays. You can't pick your foot up, and you can't just stop like this. Every single throw-in we see nowadays, you would get called in Little League. Let's get a throw-in coach that actually shows you how to throw a proper throw-in.
There you go.
Yep. And so when I see things like
we got it, Gianni. Why are you upset?
Because they're still going to be foul throws. It's just going to be a 2-inch change of the player in a position. That's all it's going to be.
Carry on, Doc. So, yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, so I mean, so when I read things like further weaponizing set pieces or squeezing marginal gains, like if you want to squeeze marginal gains, feed the striker that we just bought. Rather bring in coaches to address the problems that we have, not the successes. Rather, not double down on the successes that we are already seeing. I mean, it is very much like applying. I don't know, it's applying sunblock to someone that just has a lot of like melatonin in their skin. Like it's relatively unnecessary. It's just relatively unnecessary, No, you're spitting
facts, Doc. You're spitting facts, and just to back up what you're saying, Salah, right? I read an article. Salah came out and he said, "I was struggling with scoring goals, right?" And he struggled at the beginning of his career. It wasn't really that goal machine that we're seeing right now, Salah.
Mm-hmm.
And he hired somebody who is specialist on just finishing, right? Nothing fancy, nothing that's complex shit, just finishing. And look where Salah ended up delivering at the end. I mean, with Liverpool, we're seeing the 40 GAs, the 50 GAs, and he's competing with Messi and Ronaldo in terms of numbers, of course. Yeah, man, it's a good show, man. I never thought of it, but you're right. I mean, if we're looking for something where we lack is the striker department, how to finish, how to create, how to get the best out of our attacking players, and not even the defense, because I think defensively we are really good. We are so rigid, we're so solid. I don't think we need any defensive, I would say, modification or improvement. I mean, obviously, there's always room for improvement, but what I'm saying is what we lack is the striker department. You are absolutely right. I mean, you're spot on there, Doc.
So ultimately, the three coaches that I would like to see, because rather they talk about focusing on the fine details. I mean, I'm telling you, I absolutely despise how these journalists, portray like all of this nonsense simply because the actions are not matching up with the words. If you want to focus on the fine details, you hire a coach that can teach the likes of 29, Jesus, and Marino how to finish. You bring in a coach that can teach the wingers how to properly cross a ball into the final third. And last but not least, you bring in a coach that can teach players how to pass a through ball into the final third. Simply because we have seen, again, like countless images of Gyökeres making those runs in with a gap of space in between the central defenders, and the midfielders are not catching that run. But again, that's just my medical based perspective.
Honestly speaking, Gyökeres, if you're talking about Gyökeres, I mean, I digress, but still, I think Gyökeres is not being so good, man, lately. I'm sorry. I mean, yes, we didn't really create much for him at the beginning, but in the last couple of games, man, I've seen a lot of balls created to him, and he's not really there. Saka's making the crosses. I don't know if they are in total different wavelengths, if that can, that's the best analogy I can put. Saka really crosses, I would say, the near post, where Gyökeres is positioned the far post, and vice versa from Martinelli. And I think there's something, it's not cohesive between the players when it comes to the wingers and Gyökeres. I don't know if that's on Gyökeres, but it's also on Arteta as well, because you should be, I mean, rehearsing these kind of attacks. I mean, you should know Saka will cross in the near post, or will cross at this particular within the vicinity of certain vicinity and space. So there's a lot of things that goes on, but I'm not really convinced with Gyökeres when it comes to the output so far. I mean,
I think that's an 80-20. I think that's an 80%. I think it's 80% Arteta, 20% Gyökeres. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that Gyökeres doesn't need to work on his first touch, because his first touch, as far as trapping the ball or stopping the ball to get onto the ball, is absolute dog shit. There's no beating around the bush with that. His first touch is not good. His ability to look up and find simple passes when you need him to link up is not that good. However, that cross that Madueke put in the 79th minute against Liverpool, that cross is never there for Gyökeres. Same with the cross that Saka put in the game against Brighton, when Martinelli sent the ball to South London when he skied it over the net. Both of those crosses are never there for Gyökeres. If Gyökeres gets that, 9 times out of 10 with his finishing ability, he's burying both of those goals. That's where my gripe is. And it's the same thing on the offensive phase. Is, again, the other problem is, and this goes towards Arteta, is if Martin Odegaard is this fantastic passer that everybody claims he is, why are we holding Odegaard back? Odegaard, to his own credit, when Odegaard had the reins let go and he was able to do what he wanted and could express himself in the game, Martin Odegaard had double-digit goals and assists in 2 straight seasons. Then immediately, this man has gotten more defensive and pragmatic last year and this year, and has taken and has wiped out the GA for everybody across the board. And Gyökeres is no different. So for me, that's why I say it comes down to the manager, because it's not like Gyökeres is the only guy. If Gyökeres was the only guy to struggle to get to where he was getting, it's on the player. But the fact and reality is Saka is struggling. Odegaard is struggling. Martinelli is struggling. Madueke, we all knew he couldn't finish for anything, but Madueke is not getting assists either, because he's struggling with how the game is being played with the team. Trossard is scoring in spite of the manager, because Trossard is not a left winger. So at the end of the day, that's why I say, I hear you. Gyökeres has been frustrating, and there's no getting around that. But we also got to look at the bigger picture. When every main attacking player that we rely on is all struggling, the common denominator is the manager.
Yep, those are all great points, and I would even take it a step further. I mean, I would make it like a 90-10 proportion as far as like ownership of responsibility, like with this. We know how we play definitely in this season, but over the last few seasons, ever since that we had first bottled the league in 22-23. We are playing very lethargic. We are playing very geriatric style, Tim Lewis hairstyle, U-shaped football around the final third. It is not direct. It is not incisive. And we know that Gyökeres came from a team who was playing on the counterattack and who were playing very quick. It's also important to consider that. I do think that the chemistry aspect, I do think that there is something there, but I would also say that this manager is also one of the highest paid managers in the world, and it is incumbent upon the manager to be able to make things gel. Like, that's why they are there. We knew from the onset that Arteta did not want Gyökeres. We knew that he wanted Benjamin Sesko, who is more of that false 9 role that he likes, simply because that is Arteta's system. It is a very rigid system that, unfortunately, if you do not have, if the striker, or in this case the false 9, if they not track back into midfield to collect the ball, if they're not able to hold up the ball, if they're not able to do the things like a midfielder would do, then they're not going to succeed. We knew from the onset that Gyökeres was an out-and-out striker, a striker, that we haven't seen, I guess, in that type of mold for decades. Where ultimately, they're not known for their first touch. They're not known for their hold-up play. They're not known for linking up. They're simply known for poaching goals and scoring. Like, you know, like, and that was ultimately what we needed, simply because we already had players that can play in the false nine role, that can do all the things that Mikel wants, as far as dropping back, as far as linking up play, as far as getting touches. Like, that's what Mikel wants. But that has also, this system has proven not to work. That was why Berta had overruled Arteta getting Gyökeres instead of Sesko, simply because we already had players in that Sesko kind of mold. Similarly, with respect to Eze over Nico Williams, like we already had a bunch of Nico Williams like players at our club. We needed to get someone different. So yes, it is frustrating, but I think simultaneously it's also important to consider. I mean, like, I know how much we all love stats, right? You know, like, there's a reason why when Gyökeres has started, we have gone like 17-1-1 with him starting, you know, like up front. It is frustrating because, again, like, he is known for scoring goals, and we bought him to score goals. Like, that is like there is no denial that he needs that he could be doing a little bit better. But simultaneously, he's also on the verge of turning 28. Like, he has already developed his game. There's probably not going to be a whole lot more additional development to his game.
He's at his prime.
Right, exactly. We need to utilize, and we need to slightly tweak and orient the system that we have to get the best out of him. And that's where I significantly like fault Mikel, simply because like he is so stubborn, and he is so determined to prove everyone wrong that his system is the best and that his players are the best. And also, Berta doesn't know fuck all, despite the fact that he has been an experienced, you know, like football director, you know, like in the industry.
Right. Now, it's always the question, is it on the coach? Is it on the player? Or should the player adapt to the formation and the lineup and the way we play? Or should we tweak, like you said, the system for Gyökeres? Well, always, you know, there's always a fine line there of arguments. You're always going to tip over the other side if it makes any sense. It's quite difficult to say, at least at this stage of the season. I would say I would judge probably at the end of the season, but I'm one of the guys who actually was excited about Gyökeres, but honestly speaking, he's been really underwhelming. At least,
I think all three of us were.
Oh yeah,
all three of us were ecstatic about it. But to take it one step further, here's the sad thing about this: the best guy for the number 9 is somebody who got pushed out to left wing, and that's Trossard.
That's true.
Trossard.
That's true.
If we sat here and we go in the 4 years of Arsenal coming in second place, this could be the 4th year, but 3 previous years, the best 2 months of ball was when we first got Trossard from Brighton and threw him in as the false 9 as the replacement for an injured Gabriel Jesus. Martinelli balled out. Saka was probably the best version of Saka that we've seen. And then, to what the doc said, the favoritism came in. He rushes Jesus back. Lo and behold, that's our 1 win in 7 game streak that we have, and we blow the 8-point lead. So that's why I say it's 80-20 with the manager.
Right, and I think this paves the road as a good segue to what Arteta is saying about Havertz and how he's glazing him, because I think he's going to be starting him sooner or later. That's my opinion. If this, I would say, dry run continues from Gyökeres, I think Havertz is going to take over and be our main number 9. The other part of this from Hands of Arsenal is about Martinelli's incident. I'm sure you guys are aware that with the Connor Bradley, but he came out and apologized. So that's under the rug for me. I'm not really going to talk about it. I'm happy that Martinelli showed that he didn't really know that the injury happened. So, you know, because the context of it, he didn't see it. And also it was the last minute. So he thought that he was wasting time and all that stuff. So we're not really getting into it unless you guys want to talk about it. For me, I think it's quite obvious. And the best thing that Arne Slot actually backed even Martinelli with this. So I'm very happy to see that level of maturity.
I like a little bit of an asshole. I like a little bit of an asshole. One of my favorite players was Marco Materazzi, and Martinelli hasn't done anything on Materazzi's level. So I love a little bit of an asshole.
No, that's a different level. Materazzi was a dickhead, bro. You know?
Yeah. I like that edginess in some players. I mean, here's the thing: it was bad that he threw the ball at him first. It was bad at that. That you shouldn't be doing as a fellow professional. You shouldn't be doing that.
Sure.
Nobody knew that the injury was that serious. Obviously, you even saw it in Martinelli's face that afterwards when they saw the stretcher come out to carry Bradley off, Martinelli looked a little bit lost from there. And I would even say that where Martinelli looked lively when he put the cross in that Allison caught right after when Bradley got hurt, he kind of faded out of the game because he was a little bit in shock that it was that severe. So while I was not happy
and he
with the situation,
apologized. And he apologized.
Yeah, he apologized. Exactly. So I mean, while it was bad of what Martinelli did and everything else, I think the fact about it is like you said, the way Slot backed him up and everybody then realized where the injury was and Martinelli faded out because he realized what the actual situation was once the stretcher came out. I think now it's water under the bridge. At first I was furious with both of them because I thought Bradley wasn't really hurt. But then once you saw the first replay of where his ankle went, then it was like, holy crap. And then you didn't even know what the knee was because at first I thought it was a severe like ankle twist or ankle sprain. Then when you saw the stretcher come out, I was like, well, that ain't no ankle sprain because he could hop off the field with that. So I was disappointed at first, but then once when you see everything and how it came about, it's died down to where now it's just water under the bridge.
Yeah, speaking of Martinelli, since we are here, and Martinelli isn't going anywhere, he's saying, but his stats so far, I mean, he has only 1 goal in the Premier League, but in the UCL, he has 5 goals out of 5 games, FA Cup, hat-trick, as you guys know. So what do you guys think of his form outside of the Premier League?
I mean, it is. I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, and this is what I have a real gripe with within our fan base is that we have such a enormous false sense of security when it comes to these types of figures. You know, like the group stage, again, like rather like how he performed in the group stage is good, but simultaneously, the performances in the group stage contrast very significantly to the knockout stage. And just like, and rather, so just because we are going, so just because we are currently undefeated right now, and that we have like a goal difference of I think like 16, you know, like in the group stage, that is not to say that we're just going to roll through everyone else in the knockout stages as well. You know, like so, rather, so while this form is good, we also need to see it like when it does hit crunch
when it matters. Correct. Right. So that takes me to the other point, and I want Gianni to his input in here. I think he's going to have a very strong opinion about it. Is the where is it? I'm looking for it quickly. Martinelli. It's about Martinelli. I'm staying within Martinelli's. You can bring it up. So it's exclusive from this gentleman. It's, I wouldn't say a reliable source, but still, it's a very strong source. That Gabriel Martinelli representatives are making plans for next season with a different club, and Arsenal are aware. So tell me, Doc, before I jump into Gianni and his opinion.
Yeah, I mean, so like, I was gonna say, at least like with respect, like to Havertz, you know, rather this manager, as we know, this manager loves Kai Havertz. He will like, you know, he absolutely loves him. And we also know that, you know, that he has been absolutely itching to put Kai Havertz back into the starting 11, regardless of whoever's form was occurring. But going back to Martinelli, and even kind of, and also kind of like overlaps a little bit like into the Saka conversation that we had earlier, right? You know, like at a certain stage, like we need to identify whether or not players have hit their peak and whether we need to sell them on a high. You know, like we have seen in the past where we have kept players too long and then their market value decreases. And you know, so in the consideration that if Martinelli is putting up some numbers, we have also seen him inconsistent over the years. Since the 22-23 season, like his development has also plateaued a little bit. I do think that there are better winger options.
I think it regressed. It didn't plateau. Well, I wish it plateaued, man.
I'm trying to be, you know, positive, you know, here with respect to Martinelli. Totally mind you, like, I do think that there is a player in there, and I would say like probably out of all the players in the squad, I think Martinelli would benefit the most from a much more attack-minded manager. Rather, there were reasons why he was performing well under Emery. There are reasons why a manager like Klopp had rated him very highly. But simultaneously, like, this manager does not get the best out of our winger, right? He's not get the best and the most optimal version of the players like in our squad, unfortunately. So I would retain him in the sense if we are bringing in a new manager, but if Arteta's staying, then sell him on a high and get someone.
Fair. So the question for Johnny here, I mean, as you can see, the rumors that he might leave the club. So. Do you want to sell him, Gianni? And if yes, how much would you be the asking price?
Oh, I'm going to go take it a much step further. I think it doesn't matter whether the manager stays or not. Him, Odegaard, Havertz, and Jesus all have to leave the club at the end of this year.
No,
I think all
see
four.
What I'm saying is very strong opinion. Forget about Odegaard. Forget about the rest. Now talk about Martinelli.
Martinelli gets sold. Martinelli gets sold either way.
All right,
Martinelli for me either way, whatever you want, because Martinelli's books are paid off, because it's full, brother. Because this is the way you have to look at it, right? Martinelli cost us $7 million in the Emery days. $7 million's been paid off, so he's free money. You're basically playing with house money with him.
Sounds like a depreciated asset, bro.
No, it's not a depreciated asset. It can be an increase, because if you can get here, I don't think you're going to have a lot of people complain if you try to sell Martinelli for 20 to 25 million euros, because of the fact that he's still young. He still has much more of a career ahead of him. And with a different manager, like to what the doc said, possibly playing him more central, where that's where he was when he was balling out with Emery, I don't think you would have a problem getting 20 to 25 million euros, or maybe even 20 to 25 million pounds for him. Again, you're playing with house money because his books are paid off. So if you were to sell him for 20, 25 million, you not only get that, but his wages are at 180,000 pounds a week. So whatever that is on the salary scale, that also come off the book, to where you're basically looking at a pure $30 million profit for this player. 30 million at this point in time for Martinelli, I think, is a steal, and I would drive him to wherever the hell he was going if you could get that much money from him. So for me,
come on, bro, we bought Madueke for 50.
I understand that, but the problem is, I understand that, but the problem is that that's our stupidity. You can't base our stupidity on everybody else. Listen, if you could sell Gabriel Martinelli for 50, 60 million, again, I'll drive him wherever he needs to go. I'll come in from Chicago and go from London and take the English Channel, drive his ass from France, anywhere you need him to go in Europe or wherever, if you're going to get that much money. But if we're looking at this from a realistic situation, I don't think you're going to get much more than maybe 30 million for him. I think that's the highest that you'll get. But again, because his books are paid off, and again, whatever the math is on 180,000 a week, you're talking 30 plus million. I'm game to sell him and go get somebody else.
Okay.
I think I would only slightly differ. I think in the past, like under Edu, I think that would be the price range that we would get for him, like if we were to have sold him, like at this current stage. But I want to say that Berta may be able to sell him off in Italy for a good amount.
That's what I'm saying. I would love that.
It would have to be Spain. There's no teams in Italy that are going to pay 30 million for him.
Saudi pays, bro.
Really? Okay.
No,
well, I mean,
there's not.
Because Saudi pays top dollar, bro. Saudi
would be, yeah, but here's the thing. The problem with Saudi is then you're waiting to see if the player is going to go take the money or not. There have been the players that say they don't want to go to Saudi. They want to stay in Europe to continue to prove themselves. So that's one of the junctures that you would have to see where it is with Martinelli. For me, Martinelli, I don't think, with the way we've been handing out money at Arsenal, there's no reason to go to Saudi unless you're in it for the money. I think when you look at the situation of his age and everything else, he's going to want to stay in Europe for a couple more years. Now, when you bring up Italy, the only team that may be able to do that is Juventus, but we have to wait. We have to wait and see what type of cash injection that team's going to get, because Milan's not going to pay that for him.
Doesn't pay shit, bro.
Napoli doesn't have the finances right now to be able to pay that because of the 200 million we've spent over the last 2 years for Conte, and Inter doesn't have that money. So the thing for me with him is he's more of a possible Bundesliga or La Liga team to go to, or he goes to a lower tier in the Premier League. Now, this would be funny if it happened. I could see him going to a Aston Villa for 25 million. But then the scary part is what happens if Emery's able to pull an abracadabra with him and gets him back to form when Emery had him. That would be the which he will, and that would be the scary part if you're helping out a possible future rival for trophies in the league.
Yeah, it's true. But anyways, that's all in all about Martinelli. We're gonna move on to the injuries, right? This is a quick update about the injuries. Hincapié will undergo scans. Nothing so far has came out, nothing solid, so we don't know for how long Hincapié will be out. But we've heard about Christian Mosquera. Christian Mosquera could be back within, I don't know, they said mid-Jan. We're almost at mid-Jan by, 3-4 days. So I think Mosquera will be back. So probably we're going to have almost our squad back except for Hincapié. Calafiori as well will, be at mid-Jan as well as reported. So I don't know, because, Arteta is running a very tight ship in terms of there's nothing coming out in terms of injury updates. We don't know. And every time he's asking the press conferences, he's giving you those vague answers. Like, yeah, he's going to be a while. He's still not ready. He's still not fit. So you kind of have to estimate when the player will be back, because you don't know the severity of the injury. The doctor can tell us. But at the end of the day, I understand why he's doing it. He doesn't want, the opponents to plan ahead against Arsenal if they're going to play Calafiori, they're going to play Hincapié. I understand that concept. But overall, I think in terms of injuries, the only players that we have are Hincapié, Calafiori, and Mosquera. So what are your thoughts, guys? Do you think we're going to be having a good season and with all with the fully squad back in?
Personally, I think that the reason why Arteta rarely chooses to disclose the extent and severity of injuries because this club has had an exponential number of injuries under his regime, and if I'm not sure if I would entirely agree that that he's being secretive from a tactical point of view. I think it's more so just that, like, if they were to be transparent with the severity of the injury, the fan base online would be absolutely going mental. And additionally, we also wouldn't know whether or not the players are being rushed back from injury. So I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and subterfuge going on in that perspective. The greatest concern, from a medical perspective, as you can see here at London Colney Renal Center, this is it's a very low budget operation, but to that end, it should be damning that it should be damning the consistency of one injury that we have been experiencing at this club that have been hamstring related injuries. Like, it is it should be, that has been a very common denominator. And unfortunately, when we talk about all these fine details, bringing in, fakakta coaches for rather for things like that, like, we need to really bring a fucking medical auditor at this point to identify and to really scrutinize and to conduct an autopsy as to why all these players are getting the same types of injuries. And as well as them often being
training as well and warm-ups.
Correct.
Crazy.
You're absolutely correct. There have been scores of players that have already come on, that have already done their own interviews and say that the trainings are more aggressive than the matches themselves. So at the end of the day, all we can do is look at the training regimen.
He's training Marines, man, not players.
Yeah, well, even if they're you could do basic training, but you are not tearing your hamstring in basic training, even with the Marines. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, Gianni, do you have I would say faith in our team or when they're fully fit with the squad depth and all?
The players I have faith in, and I have faith in because the league is playing out very similarly to how it played out last year for Liverpool's favor to go out and win the league. So those are two of the main things. For me, I'm 100% with the doc on this as far as, again, the hamstring is the same rotating issue with a lot of these players, and that goes to overexertion and to the over amount of training. Now, and it's a shocker that they put it out because they're the biggest glazing of Arteta there is. But AFTV put a stat out that since the start of the 2024-2025 season, we've had over 100 injuries. And remember,
Yeah.
2024-2025, Arteta boldly came out and said after the first Real Madrid game, we knew we were thin coming into the season. So, again, for a manager to make that type of a statement and for a specific glazing of the manager program that AFTV is, as far as being bold enough to put that stat out there. Again, it's the question with the injuries is also the same thing that we have about Arteta. Is Arteta going to be the biggest roadblock to this team's success? With the injuries we have,
do you think it's lack of rotation as well?
100% it is.
For sure.
100%, brother. There's no let's look at all of the quote unquote who we consider our big managers with their title winning seasons. Which one of them had this low amount of rotations like Arteta has? None of them has. Pep hasn't.
I mean,
not one of those 4 in a row. Pep wasn't rotating the squads. There was a different team every other game. When Real Madrid, look at Real Madrid under Ancelotti with all the injuries he had, and that wasn't even rotationary problems. Those guys were just going down with massive injuries at the beginning of the season.
He had to play Tchouaméni in center back as well.
For half a season. But even Tchouaméni was getting rotated out for the young kid to come in. So for me, this is what I mean by it. The bigger question is Arteta going to be his own worst enemy? Because I think that's what's been the problem the last 3 years to why we haven't won, is the lack of rotation, the constant want for the manager's favorites, even when they're not playing to the peak of their abilities, whether that's on the manager or on them, that's a whole nother argument. But for me, it's can Arsenal get out of their own way? For the injuries, it looks promising coming back, but at the same time, we also don't know who's nursing an injury. I mean, Rice.
Yes.
Rice. Shout out to Shane Gooner, because Shane Gooner put this on the Full Irish Breakfast a couple of weeks ago. Rice's ankle, if you notice it, if you're able to get a shot of it or go back and watch Shane's show, Rice's ankle was taped up to high hell. So Rice is already nursing one ankle. We all knew, because it was put out in the news, that Rice's knee was swelled up before he had the 2-goal game. So the question is, and this is, you have to take a positive out of this. The positive to take from this is that Arteta has a very tight-knit group and very tight-lipped seal on the players when it comes to speaking to the press. The only person that I think came out to the press to show or shed a negative light on Arteta was maybe Jurrien Timber with that interview back in the Netherlands about him not being able to walk for the PSG game. But besides that 15-minute stretch, no player has come out and has been vocal against the manager with the injuries. So for one thing, you have to give Arteta a positive, is it's a tight-knit locker room. But for me, it's the question of who drops, because Gabby Magalhaes got rushed back for the Villa game. Whether we like it or not, Gabby Magalhaes wasn't supposed to be making a return until halfway through January.
He looked off base.
Saka got rushed back last year for the Champions League push once we saw how far behind Liverpool we were. So, that's the big question, is it's not so much of the teams getting back. The question is who is nursing injuries that's hiding it, because I think the three of us could all agree, if something was to happen to Magalhaes and Rice and Timber, any combination of the two out of those three, that's going to greatly depreciate our chances of winning the league this year. Because for me, those have been our 3 best players above all, has been Rice, Magalhaes, and Timber. I think they've been the 3 best players we have. Magalhaes, for me, I think Magalhaes before Rice and Timber is world class. I think he may be the only world class player we have. Timber, we have to see where he ends at the end of the year. If he continues what he's been doing, I think we definitely have 2. Rice, for me personally, is playing out of position, but that's the thing. We just have to see who's nursing injuries, because that to me is the bigger question than is the squad completely fit with the guys who are on the injury list right now are coming back. We have to see who's really nursing an injury to get through.
And additionally, Rice last year was also playing with a broken toe against
That's true.
And we also know as well. Want to shout out BBK as well. Big up to you, Taryn.
Big up, Taryn.
We also know that that Benjamin White was just fielded against Bournemouth, despite the fact that he has a pending surgery going on. Rather in a few weeks.
The Timber one, that was insane.
That
was insane.
So to that end, and that's why I feel it is entirely composite of why Arteta does not describe injuries and the extent and severity of them, just so that he has that
leeway. Leeway.
So where is the medical team, Doc? Where is the medical team to stop all this and say, hey, listen, there's a huge risk if you play Rice, if you play Timber, the injury will get more complicated and all that. Where is the medical team here? Or are they just overlooking the decision from the medical team? I mean,
so I would say that from a medical based perspective, we would provide a risk-based assessment for each of these players, and we will provide it to the manager saying, look, this player, he may be at 80-85%. There's a good chance that he will do fine, but you have to understand that there is a significant precaution that they may succumb to the same injury or perhaps either re-aggravate something or even have a new injury as a whole. As you know, the injuries themselves, they're not just physical, they are also psychological, especially with the hamstring based injuries. Players are not going to be running at full force as they were previously to the injury. I'm totally under the impression that Mikel is saying look, I need these players back simply because if I don't get them back,
and I'm going to take the risk. So that's
correct.
That's okay, man. That's insane. Well, there you go, guys. We covered the we covered the medical aspect and the injuries as well. But I think we're gonna have a solid team by the end of January, so that really helps us a lot, especially that we are competing in 4 fronts. The last piece of news before I move to the forum is that's a far fetch for me, which is Mark Gahey, right? I mean. We are oversaturated with defenders. We have Calafiori, we have Nkapie, we have Saliba, Gabriel, we have Mosquera as well. And now, this is according to even David Ornstein, which is a very reliable source in my opinion, that Arsenal are retaining an interest on Mark Gahey, and they're convincing him to stay until the summer so they can sign him from Crystal Palace. Do you think, guys, we should go for Mark Gahey? And if we do, what, we're gonna drop Gabriel or Saliba, or we're gonna hinder the development of Mosquera, for instance? Mosquera has been solid for us. I'm not gonna take a dig of the guy because he's been good, and Nkapie is good as well. So where does Mark Gahey fit within this puzzle?
So the only thing that I can see from this, overall, I don't think we're in for him. I do think that it is just paper talk. However, the flip side where I can see this is whether or not Berta is thinking, whether we are going to get a new manager next season, whether that manager is also going to play a different formation. For example, hypothetically speaking, let's say we get a manager that plays 3 at the back. So long, Ben White. I was thinking more like Inzaghi in that regard, but I know that Gianni has his own personal premonitions with respect to Inzaghi, and they're definitely fair. But I am just using that 3 at the back as an example, right? Let's say, for example, we get a manager that plays 3 at the back. We are then talking about.
I want this guy.
Yeah.
No, I'm not taking him as a manager.
Xabi Alonso, no chance.
He plays 3 in the back. That's all I'm saying. Carry on.
So we could potentially see either a Nkapie, Saliba, Gabriel back 3. We could then also see a Gabriel, Saliba, Gahey back 3. That I could potentially see. But overall, though, I don't see the player going to a club that is already so defensive heavy. Like, simply because like we know that he would want to go to the World Cup, and we also know that he would also want consistent first team minutes.
Facts.
It just seems more of a natural fit to be going to.
But this is in the summer, not January, by the way.
January or the summer, either or.
Because he would secure still the position in the England squad, I would say.
Oh, he has a secure position in the England squad, but the question is who are you sacrificing here? That's the bigger thing. Is it because
that's my question?
Okay, so here, who are you taking Mark Gahey over, Saliba or Magalhaes? Neither, right?
Neither, yeah.
Exactly. So why do you sign him? Because all you're doing is creating a problem in the locker room. When players are of a higher level and are not playing, there's problems in the locker room that come with it. We learned this with Ozil. We learned this with Aubameyang. Yes, for different reasons, but when top players are not playing, they're going to cause a ruckus. Plus, here's the other thing. For example, I will use Signore Mancini as an example as a manager. If you wanted to play a back line of 4 and have Gahey listed as the right back, but in possession, you push your other fullback so far up to where he's in the midfield and you swing the back 3 to where you have a back 3 of Magalhaes, Saliba, and Gahey, cool. But the problem with that is the best defensive fullback in the game is Timber, and you're taking away from his best traits. So why would you still entertain it? Because I don't want to see Timber higher up the pitch. Again, if Timber's had the leg issues and the muscle injuries that he's had, he needs to be playing closer back. And to be honest with you, a Timber, Saliba, and Magalhaes backline of 3, if you push the left fullback up, is fine with me to where there's no need to go get Gahey. Because, the thing everybody forgets about this is on the financial side, when you sign players for free, they have a higher contract because they're bypassing the fees and everything for their agent. So you have to pay them at a much higher pay rate than what the normal ledger is because they have to pay their agent for getting them that fee. So at the end of the day, there's no reason for us to be getting Mark Gahey unless we're selling Saliba or Magalhaes in the offseason. That to me is the only reason why he's getting listed with us is because one of these.
We just renewed for Saliba till 2030. I mean,
but here's the thing now with Saliba. Him getting a renewal means that his contract money that we spent, his books are paid off. So if you sold Saliba, say, to a Madrid, just for an example, because of the fact that he was listed with them before, if you're selling William Saliba to Madrid for $100 million and you're getting $100 million pure profit from him, and that the salary's coming off the books, it makes a ton of sense to then go get Gahey for free because you can eat that extra money that you're going to have to pay him because you got 100% pure profit from William Saliba. So that makes it understanding to go out and get him. But if we're going to be developing a guy like Mosquera and we get a guy like Hincapié off the loan to where he knows he's walking into this situation to where he's going to be more of a rotationary player behind Calafiori and the center backs. If he's already cool with that, why are we gonna disrupt the team chemistry in the locker room with possibly signing somebody that 2 to 3 months down the line is going to start a problem? To where now there could be a fiasco leading into, we have to send Gahey away on loan to somewhere else. Well, then it just doesn't make any sense for signing somebody for astronomical wages to just put them on loan. You know what I mean? So for me, I think this is a null and void thing. I think this is just paper talk. Or if it gets serious, then there's something going on with one of our defenders that we don't know about that they're keeping hush hush until the end of the season.
I mean, Ornstein is the one who mentioned it. I mean, it's a pretty reliable source to me.
Simultaneously, we have known for a while that Saliba is silverware famished. He has already come out several years ago, and he has already said,
Doc, he said he wants to win it with Arsenal. I mean, he stated that.
Simultaneously, right, correct. But simultaneously, he's also now 24, 25. He's certainly no youth product anymore. And at the and we also know that that Madrid has been like in his mind for some time. We also know that this manager does not like or really care for French players that much. Probably due to the like of like Lacazette and Aubameyang. Well, like it's French speaking players, shall we say? But I mean, like so. So that aspect of Guéhi possibly like replacing Saliba in the summer if we don't win anything, I mean, I don't want to see Saliba go, but I could potentially see that being a possibility.
Yeah, and the renewal and sell a year later is an age old tactic by a lot of sporting directors. If you look at, for instance, the AC Milan project that Frederic Massara and Paolo Maldini ran, they re-signed a lot of players one year and then sold them the next year because they were able to restructure their wages more on bonuses so it wouldn't affect the day-to-day operation for a club. Plus, once the books have renewed and it's pure cash, you're able to get rid of them and you're basically doubling your money on them to be able to go out and get more talent. So again, and that's the other thing too. Let's all keep this into understanding here. Over the last 10 years, the only team that has a worse net spend than Arsenal is Manchester United. We have the second highest net spend in the last decade than any of the other Premier League teams. More than Chelsea.
Huh? We don't sell. I mean, we sell
but
low.
That's what I'm saying. That can also be part of this problem to why this is coming up. We don't know where PSR is going to stand with us at the end of this year. It doesn't matter if we keep bringing in a certain amount of money. Remember, the rules with PSR is you cannot have $110 million net loss after 3 years. We've spent a shit ton of money. If we just talk about the last 3 transfer windows, to keep it in context, we're talking about nearly $500 million in 3 years we've spent. So yes, we've been doing well with prize money, but we don't have that extra amount of prize money from winning any of the major trophies that adds to it. So we don't know where we stand with PSR. If we're looking at this from a long-term thing to where Berta's not only coming in to stabilize the books, restructure the finances as far as the weekly wage limit to bring that down as well, that could be another reason why this is coming into fruition and being talked about, because maybe Saliba is possibly the first head that's going to roll when the new season comes in, because we have to straighten out our money aspect.
Yeah, that's true. Well, on that note, guys, I wanna, before we wrap up, I want the opinion of the doc and also Gianni on this. Arsenal first in the UCL, first in the Premier League. We are currently in the semifinal of the Carabao Cup, 4th round. I mean, last season we got knocked out of the 3rd round, so that's an improvement, I would say. So, what do you guys feel about this? Are you confident? And how many trophies we're gonna win out of these 4? I'll start with you, Doc.
Yes, I mean, unfortunately I have been old enough to see. I've been old enough to see this happen in the past. And is it PTSD? Maybe a little bit. Is it also
I feel you.
Is it also just the fact of, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, can't get fooled again. Quote by George W. Bush. If you know, you know. But look, man, like, I mean, like, look, is it rather, I will be the first to admit, I did not think that we were going to be top of the league by this stage of the season at the beginning of the season. And I'm happy to be wrong. I really am. I'm happy to be proven wrong at every single junction, because at the end of the day, I want to see this club win silverware. And as we had also mentioned, like pre-chat, I also want to see this club fulfill the promises that it had upheld, to uphold the promises that it had made out when we demolished Highbury and moved to the Emirates. As said by Peter Hillwood, we are moving to the Emirates to compete with the likes of Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. So ultimately, like, I don't care who the players are, I don't care who the manager is, I don't care if it's Mikel Arteta or Daffy fucking Duck. At the end of the day, like, just get us over the line. So we are in a good position right now, right? And and considering the variables that are occurring in the league, we should be winning it. Considering who are left in the domestic cups, we should be winning it. Considering the expenditures that have been exhausted under this manager, we should be winning it. Simultaneously, though, should doesn't necessarily imply will. we have to get over the line. A lot of these factors look good on the surface right now, but we also know, and we have seen years and years past, whether in 2007, 2008, whether in 2013, 14, whether in 2015, 16, whether in 22, 23, or in 23, 24, where we were top of the league at Christmas and New Year's and we failed to win the league, or even for the fact that just 3 years ago we were top of the league for 93% of the season and still didn't win the league, or the following year where we were top of the league at week 36 and still didn't win the league. I am very much an advocate of seeing is believing. I will rather.
Okay, well, haven't told me yet. So which trophy we're gonna win?
I still don't think we're winning anything this year.
Oh, damn. Damn, Doc. I thought you were going to see at least the Carbo Cup.
Look, hey, Sammy, look, I want to be proven wrong. I yearn for it. I do yearn to be proven wrong.
We all do. But don't you think you're going to win a single trophy, like the Cup, maybe?
Look, I mean,
the FA Cup?
I believe that. So, I mean, like, I use the analogy of a bus, so there's a bus driver, there are passengers on the bus, and then there's of course the owner that owns the bus company itself. The majority of the passengers on this bus, they for the most part are fine. There have been a few that have been riding the bus for free now for several years, and they have been getting away with it. But most importantly, the manager, the bus driver in this analogy, has been driving around in a traffic circle ad infinitum for the last 6 years, and we have still failed to make an exit out of the traffic circle, the exit that leads us to the promised land. Now the owner of the bus company, they have shifted some of the board of executives. They have now brought in new faces, and we are now seeing a different complexion in the back room. The only thing that needs to change, because we are a big club, we advertise like a big club, we market ourselves like a big club, we pay massive wages like a big club, we merchandise like a big club, we all these things are resemblant of a big club. The only thing that we don't have are trophies. And unfortunately, this manager has not proven anything tangible or coherent, anything evidentiary, anything that you can tangibly grasp in your hand and say, I have confidence that this manager is able to get over the line, simply because he has not been able to do so, despite having all the GTA 5 cheat codes and still dying. So unfortunately, I can only go from a scientific based, an analysis. I work in medicine, I work in data analytics. I work with statistics. There's unfortunately nothing evidentiary or tangible that I can point to and have confidence in. And unfortunately, when I hear people talk about, oh, we're gonna be winning the quad after we haven't won fuck all, under this manager, since all the expenditures have been made, that is entirely emotionally driven and not logically driven.
It's true, but let's hope we reach to our destination with our lovely yellow bus.
Absolutely, yes. I'm telling you, I yearn. I yearn from the bottom of my heart and soul.
I think we all do. I think we all do, Doc. I think we all do. But believe me, we do. I mean, I've been supporting Arsenal since 2000, so that's 26 years of my life that I've been supporting this club. You've been supporting 97, Gianni probably even longer. I'm not sure. But
no, 06 is my start with this club.
06. Oh man, yeah. I feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
At least I witnessed the Premier League. Two, actually. I witnessed 2 Premier League, so that's
I grew up in an old Italian household. We watched Serie A and La Liga before we watched the Premier League. So
fair. But anyways, tell me your thoughts, Gianni. The dog gave us his opinion. He thinks we're not going to win any trophy from those 4. What are your thoughts, Gianni? And how confident are you?
It's all going to be based on what we do with the League Cup. If we win the League Cup, I think we have.
Do you think we're going to win the League Cup? We have Chelsea next.
I don't know. The reason why Chelsea is both the perfect yet also worst team for us to have, because Chelsea has been the symbol of a lot of the roadblocks that Arsenal has had in these years of not winning the league and the drought of Chelsea is the perfect representative for that. For me, it all comes down to how this club is going to be standing, like we said, with the injuries at the end of January, because we still have 7 more games left to go in this short amount of time span in January. So it's going to depend where we're at with injuries. If we can get over Chelsea in a one-off game, I think we can beat anybody. And if it is us versus City in the League Cup final, I think that's even more of a step to show that if we did pull off beating Chelsea in 2 games and then beating City in the final, we have the mental edge to now say we're here, we're going to go on and win the league. The Champions League, I do not think Arsenal's going to win whatsoever. I am, and it's not to throw shade at the players. I am just a full-blown believer that when it comes to winning the Champions League, it's all about the heritage. It's all about what your club has done in the recent.
Wait. I'm going to stop you right there. So hold on. PSG won it without heritage.
How many years have they been building up a winning mentality and winning trophies constantly?
For quite some time. And they dominate the domestic league, I'd say.
And that's part of the reason. That's what changes when you have the conversation about heritage.
What I'm saying is, if I look at UCL separately, I know they build up.
Correct, but Arsenal doesn't have anything for that winning mentality to go for that plan. When Chelsea started that plan under Roman Abramovich, they went 8 years of hauling in a trophy every single year before they eventually won their first Champions League. Manchester City, yes, it took a longer time than Chelsea did, but they eventually got there because of year in and year out constantly winning trophies. Arsenal is not at that aspect yet, which is the reason why I don't think that we don't have that mentality yet to go this year. I think Arsenal, if we win the League Cup, I think at least we should be walking away with the League Cup and the Premier League. I'm more confident about the Premier League than I am the FA Cup because, again, in cup competition, anything can happen. Anything can happen on the day. For me, I think if we win the League Cup, I think we are winning the Premier League because, as I've stated on many different people's panels across this app, this is not the same City team. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. This is not the same City team.
That's true.
The games that we've seen City throw them away, those are the games where Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan, or Bernardo Silva of 2 years ago come out of nowhere and get either a goal or a crazy assist to Haaland. So for me, I think the fact that our biggest rival and the biggest threat to the Premier League for the last almost decade in Manchester City has taken a back seat with the players that they have nowadays as opposed to what it was. I think this is the best time for us to win the Premier League. And like I said, me overall, it depends on the League Cup. If we walk away with the League Cup, I think we're winning this Premier League. I think that would be enough of a mentality thing for the other clubs.
It's a snowballing effect, right? That's what you're.
Yes, it's a snowball. We win the League Cup, it's a snowball effect to where I think we will win the Premier League. FA Cup, we may be able to do the domestic treble. I would love to see it. And to be honest with you, that should be the target to do something like that with the amount of money that we've spent. I mean, I know all of us are in the same group chat when I made that talk about the billion. You know, we're the only team that has spent $1 billion and is still talking about what if and buts and maybes about trophies. We should be picking up titles at this point, building to the $1 billion spent rather than spending $1 billion and seeing where we go from there. So I would love to say my gut feeling is I think we walk away with 2 trophies this year, but it's going to depend on the League Cup.
See, Doc, we have an optimistic fan here. But anyways, guys, tell me, Doc.
No, I hear it, and I do concur with the belief that winning the Carabao Cup would be a very strong catalyst to go ahead and win the other trophies as well. I mean, I don't think we have much of a shot.
Don't backtrack right now.
No. That's still. I mean, I am giving credit to a different perspective. Is all I'm saying. I am still under the impression that we're not going to win anything, but I definitely do concur that, that winning the League Cup would be a very strong catalyst.
No, I was just joking with you, Doc. But you heard it, guys. We had the Doc here, we had Gianni, and we're gonna wrap up right here. It's been a lovely, lovely stream, man. We covered everything that is possible within the week, and hopefully next week we're gonna come up with more news. But before we go, guys, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'm gonna put both channels in the description for the Doc and also Gianni. Please do subscribe to them as well. As you can see, very strong opinionated Arsenal fans, and they are diehard Arsenal fans, and they love the club probably even more than me. And yeah, you heard it here first, man. It's been lovely. Any final words from you, gentlemen?
Sammy, thank you very much for having us. Really enjoyed this. This has been a very nice,
man. It's my pleasure, bro. My pleasure,
man.
bro. And on that note, guys, stay safe and enjoy your rest of the day.
Bless. Take care.